Every morning, school janitors found used diapers hidden behind the school building. The bizarre act confounded them and led to many whispers amongst the staff. When a diligent teacher decided to investigate, she was startled to discover a young girl from her own class responsible. But the reason behind her actions was far more heartbreaking than anyone had anticipated. When her parents were informed, their reactions painted a picture of a family's silent struggle that no one had ever noticed. Fiona, one of the teachers at Silverwood High School, had heard about these mysterious diapers appearing behind the school building. Every teacher was talking about it, as no one could figure out who was putting them there. Fiona felt personally drawn to what was happening, as she recently had given birth herself. She couldn't wrap her head around why a mother would throw her used diapers there, instead of in a trash can. It was just baffling, as it didn't seem like something a mother would do. Fiona racked her brain about it daily, feeling so sorry for whoever was doing that. One day she heard a whisper in the hallway. The school was about to step up their game, hanging up cameras to hopefully catch whoever was placing the diapers there. But that wasn't all. They even wanted to take legal action. Fiona didn't know why, but she felt the urge to find whoever was ditching the diapers there and help them. So, she began to investigate. She sat her class down that same day and asked them if they had seen anything. She went about it in a kind and understanding way, hoping it would encourage someone to come forward with information. None of her students said a word, but there was one student, a girl named Mia, who was a little too afraid to make eye contact with Fiona while she discussed the situation about the diapers. Fiona decided to ask her a question directly and see what would happen. Mia told Fiona she knew nothing about the diapers, but her red cheeks and guilty eyes gave everything away. At the end of the day, Fiona asked Mia to stay inside the classroom. Mia hesitated, telling Fiona she had to get home as soon as possible. "It will only take a second," Fiona said as she closed the door in front of Mia. "Please sit down. I need to tell you something." Mia slowly lowered herself onto a seat, waiting tensely for what Fiona was about to say. "Mia, I know you're the one who's ditching those diapers behind the school building," Fiona carefully said. Mia tried to hold a brave face, but Fiona could see her pupils dilating. She was lying. "I have nothing to do with those dirty diapers, miss," Mia said stubbornly. "I have to go now." She quickly stood up and rushed out of the classroom before Fiona could say another word. She would have to get the truth out of Mia some other way. She couldn't accuse her student of something like this without proof. That's when she suddenly had an idea. She quickly grabbed her coat as she rushed out of her classroom, following Mia's route. When she finally saw Mia in the distance, she slowed down again. Fiona's heart was beating faster than ever. She had never done something so spontaneous before. She hadn't even locked up her classroom or grabbed her bag. She left everything behind in a hurry. She followed Mia at a safe distance, hoping she wouldn't see her. Fiona just knew Mia was hiding something about those diapers, but what? What could an 11-year-old possibly do with so many diapers? Was this the right thing? Fiona wondered if what she was doing was the right thing. She didn't want to pry, but the welfare of her students was very important to her. Every time Mia looked behind her, Fiona would duck behind a car or stand behind a tree. Her heart was beating in her chest as she imagined what she would say if Mia were to catch her red-handed. Luckily, it didn't get that far. She watched as Mia suddenly crossed the road. She headed straight to a house that looked very messy and run down. Mia confidently walked through the squeaky front gate and headed into the house. Fiona was stunned. She never knew Mia lived like this. She always looked very well dressed and clean at school. She quietly walked over to the house. She couldn't just ring the doorbell. She had to find a way to peek inside. But sadly, all the curtains were shut. There was no way Fiona would be able to see inside. "This is a dead end," she sighed, and she began to walk back to school. Once at school, she closed up her classroom, thinking about a way to get Mia to fess up. The next morning, Fiona went to school earlier than usual. She hoped to catch Mia in the act. She figured she had to dump those diapers there in the early hours, as she probably wasn't allowed to go outside in the evening. Fiona parked her car in a spot where she had a clear sight of the dumping spot and waited. Time ticked by, and she began to grow impatient. It was almost 8 o'clock, and that was when she had to be inside her classroom setting up for the day. She had been here for 2 hours already, but there was no sign of Mia. Could Fiona have scared her off? She decided to wait 10 more minutes before she really had to get inside. Suddenly, she saw something rustling in the bushes. Fiona held her breath as she watched intensely, her heart racing and her body tense. Every fiber of her body wanted it to be Mia dumping those diapers so this whole ordeal would be over, but sadly, it was just a squirrel. Fiona sat back in her seat disappointedly. This wasn't going to work. She quickly went inside and set up her class for the day. She had just finished everything when the first students arrived. Slowly, her classroom filled, and around 8:30, everyone was inside. Well, not everyone. Fiona stood before her class and realized there was one empty chair, Mia's. Fiona frowned and quickly checked the system to see if Mia's parents had called, but she hadn't been reported sick this morning. Fiona stood in front of her class, her gaze lingering on Mia's empty chair. She recalled Mia's typically quiet demeanor, how she'd sit in the back, often lost in her own thoughts. These moments of absence weren't just physical. They mirrored Mia's usual detachment in class. Fiona couldn't help but wonder what was behind that distant look in Mia's eyes, a look that seemed to carry more weight than any child should. During recess, Fiona watched from the staff room window. Mia was usually by herself, sitting under the old oak tree while other kids played. Mia's isolation was like a silent alarm, ringing loudly in Fiona's mind. She noticed how Mia's eyes would occasionally follow the other children, a faint longing etched on her face, quickly masked by a return to her solitary activities. Fiona's heart ached as she thought of Mia. Her motherly instincts, sharpened by her own journey through motherhood, resonated deeply with the unspoken troubles she sensed in Mia. It was more than a teacher's concern. It was the empathy of a parent who understood that every child's silence spoke a language of its own, one that needed careful listening to understand. In the teacher's lounge, Fiona brought up Mia in conversation. "Have you noticed anything unusual about Mia recently?" she asked her colleagues. They shared her concerns, noting Mia's infrequent engagement and participation in class activities. "She's smart, but it's like she's not really with us," one teacher remarked. These observations added to Fiona's growing worry about Mia's well-being. Digging deeper, Fiona learned from the school counselor about Mia's past struggles. There had been incidents, subtle yet significant, where Mia seemed overwhelmed, her emotions running high and unchecked. These moments, although few, painted a picture of a child grappling with challenges beyond her years. Fiona realized that understanding Mia required peeling back layers of a complex, sensitive history. In a subtle manner, Fiona began to question Mia's classmates. "How has Mia been lately?" she asked during group activities. The responses were vague, but telling. "She's quiet," one student said. Another mentioned, "She doesn't hang out with us much." Fiona noted these responses, realizing that Mia's withdrawal wasn't unnoticed by her peers, yet it remained an unspoken concern within the classroom's walls. Fiona discussed Mia's situation with other teachers during their breaks. "I've noticed a change in Mia," she said. The art teacher recalled Mia's once vibrant drawings turning dull and lifeless. The music teacher noted her waning participation in class. These small yet significant changes in Mia's demeanor over the months painted a picture of a gradual retreat into her own shell. As Fiona delved deeper, she began to hear murmurs about Mia's home life. Hushed voices in the hallways spoke of family struggles, financial hardships, and a possible atmosphere of neglect. Fiona knew rumors could be unreliable, but the consistency of these whispers suggested there was some truth behind them. This information added another layer of complexity to Mia's increasingly concerning situation. Sitting in her classroom after school, Fiona began piecing together the puzzle. The classroom queries, the observations of her colleagues, and the rumors about Mia's family life started forming a clearer, albeit troubling, picture. Each piece hinted at a bigger story, one that Fiona felt compelled to understand. Mia's silent cries for help, though unspoken, were becoming increasingly apparent to Fiona. Alone in her classroom, Fiona reflected on everything she had learned about Mia. The pieces of the puzzle, though incomplete, were enough to stir a deep resolve within her. Fiona knew she had to act, to delve deeper into Mia's world. It was more than a professional obligation. It was a moral imperative. She decided to find a way to reach out to Mia, to offer the support she evidently needed. With determination, Fiona decided to visit Mia's home, citing a need to discuss her academic performance. She hoped this approach would provide insight without raising alarms. As she drove to Mia's address, a mix of apprehension and resolve filled her thoughts. This step was crucial, Fiona knew, not just for understanding Mia's situation, but for building a bridge of trust and support. Arriving at Mia's home, Fiona's first impression was a wave of concern. The house stood, worn and weary, its paint peeling, and the yard unkempt. Toys lay scattered, forgotten in the grass. This visual disarray spoke volumes, hinting at the struggles that might lie within. Fiona took a deep breath, steadying her resolve as she approached the door, her heart heavy with empathy. Once inside, Fiona was met with a scene of stark reality. The house was cramped and poorly maintained, with signs of neglect hard to miss. The furniture was sparse and worn. The walls bore marks of time and disregard. This glimpse into Mia's world was a stark contrast to the vibrant school environment, deepening Fiona's understanding of the challenges her students faced daily. Through a mother's eye, Fiona noticed the glaring lack of basic necessities. The shelves were sparsely stocked, and there was a palpable sense of scarcity. Toys and books, often abundant in a child's world, were noticeably absent. This observation was a silent testament to the financial difficulties Mia's family was enduring, painting a picture of a life lived on the edge of need. As Fiona left Mia's home, her resolve was stronger than ever. The visit had not only confirmed her fears, but also ignited a deep-seated desire to help. She knew the journey ahead would be challenging, yet necessary. It was clear that Mia and her family needed support, and Fiona was determined to be a guiding light in their path towards a better situation. Back in her quiet classroom, Fiona found herself at an ethical crossroads. The knowledge of Mia's situation weighed heavily on her. Should she involve child services, or was there a way she could handle this personally? Each option carried its own set of consequences and responsibilities. Fiona knew this was a pivotal moment, one that required careful consideration and a deep understanding of the potential outcomes. Seeking perspective, Fiona confided in a close colleague, Ms. Thompson, the school counselor. "I'm torn," Fiona admitted, detailing Mia's situation and her own internal debate. Ms. Thompson listened intently, offering both professional insight and personal support. She emphasized the importance of considering the long-term impact of whatever decision Fiona would make, reminding her of the delicate balance between intervention and support. In her heart, Fiona wrestled with a balancing act. On one hand, she had a professional duty to ensure Mia's well-being. On the other, she understood the potential disruption that an official intervention could cause in Mia's family life. Each thought of action had its own ripple effect, and Fiona knew that her decision had the power to change the course of Mia's life significantly. That evening, Fiona sat alone, grappling with the moral implications of her dilemma. Her heart ached for Mia, and she felt an overwhelming urge to protect her. Yet, her duties as a teacher also called for adherence to protocols and policies. This inner conflict was a battle between her compassionate instincts and the rigid frameworks of her professional obligations. It was a decision that reached deep into her core values. After sleepless contemplation, Fiona reached a decision. She resolved to take a personal approach in helping Mia. This decision, though unconventional, felt right to her, a blend of her maternal instincts and her responsibilities as an educator. Fiona planned to offer tailored support, being a stable presence in Mia's life, while still keeping a watchful eye for signs that might necessitate further intervention. With her decision made, Fiona began to keep a watchful eye on Mia. She observed her daily routines, both in and out of the classroom, noting her arrival times, who she spoke with, and her subtle interactions gave Fiona a deeper insight into Mia's world. This close monitoring was done with care, ensuring that Mia didn't feel intruded upon, while still gathering the necessary observations. Fiona noticed Mia's frequent yet secretive visits to the school's daycare center. These visits were quick, often happening when Mia thought no one was watching. Fiona observed from a distance, curious about these brief but regular detours. The purpose of these visits was unclear, but Fiona sensed they were significant in understanding Mia's current situation. As Fiona continued her observations, she began connecting dots. The secretive trips to the daycare, Mia's absences, and her general demeanor at school started to form a pattern, along with a suspicion that these observations were somehow linked to the mysterious incidents occurring around the school. Each new piece of information added depth to the unfolding puzzle. Over time, Fiona recognized consistent patterns in Mia's behavior. These weren't random acts, but part of a routine Mia had established. The regularity of her actions hinted at a purpose behind them, something more than mere coincidence. Fiona's attention to these details was meticulous, as she knew they were crucial in understanding the full scope of Mia's situation. The more Fiona observed, the more she became convinced that the daycare center played a significant role in Mia's secretive behavior. This connection, though not fully understood, seemed to be a crucial piece of the puzzle. Fiona's intuition as a teacher, combined with her observations, led her to believe that unlocking this connection was key to unraveling the mystery surrounding Mia. Fiona began a discreet surveillance of the daycare's diaper supplies. She carefully monitored the stock levels, making note of any discrepancies. Her observations were subtle, ensuring that her investigation remained unnoticed by the daycare staff and students. This close watch was crucial in establishing a pattern or identifying any irregularities that could shed light on the recent occurrences at the school. Over several days, Fiona noticed a telling pattern. A consistent discrepancy in the diaper supplies coincided with Mia's visits to the daycare. This correlation was too strong to ignore. It suggested a potential link between Mia and the missing items. Fiona documented these observations meticulously, understanding the importance of accuracy in such a sensitive matter. Fiona's collection of circumstantial clues began to form a clearer picture. The timing of Mia's visits and the subsequent discrepancies in diaper supplies pointed towards a possible connection. While this evidence was not conclusive, it was compelling enough to warrant further investigation. Fiona knew that understanding the full context of these occurrences was key to providing the right support. In the solitude of her classroom, Fiona reflected on her findings. She considered the implications of the patterns she had observed. If there was indeed a connection, what did it mean for Mia? Fiona was careful not to jump to conclusions, yet she couldn't ignore the emerging narrative. She knew the next step would be crucial in addressing the situation sensitively and effectively. With her evidence gathered, Fiona prepared for a sensitive conversation with Mia. She planned to approach the topic with care, ensuring Mia felt safe and understood. Fiona understood the delicate nature of this discussion and its potential impact. Her goal was to open a channel of communication with Mia, providing a space for honesty and trust, and ultimately, the opportunity for support and resolution. Fiona knew it was time for a direct conversation with Mia. She approached her after class, offering an invitation for a private chat. "Mia, I was hoping we could talk, just you and me," Fiona said gently. Her tone was warm, devoid of any judgment. It was important for Fiona that Mia understood this was a safe opportunity to share, away from prying eyes. In a quiet corner of the school library, Fiona set a comforting tone. She chose a spot away from the usual hustle, somewhere peaceful. "I'm here to listen, Mia," she reassured, offering a supportive smile. Fiona's goal was to create a space where Mia felt secure, a place where the barriers of teacher and student could momentarily fall away in favor of human connection. As they settled in, Fiona began to gently probe into Mia's life. "How have things been at home?" she asked softly, ensuring her questions were open-ended and non-threatening. Fiona's approach was one of empathy and understanding, showing genuine interest in Mia's world beyond the classroom. Her intent was not to pry, but to offer a listening ear to whatever Mia felt comfortable sharing. Gradually, under Fiona's gentle approach, Mia's guard began to lower. Her responses, initially short and guarded, became more open. Her body language, once tense, eased as the conversation progressed. It was clear that Fiona's genuine concern was having an impact. Mia's eyes, often distant, now held a flicker of trust as she began to share more about her daily life. As Mia spoke, subtle hints of her burdens emerged. She mentioned being busy at home, her words laced with a hint of exhaustion. There were references to helping out a lot and having many responsibilities. While she didn't delve into specifics, the weight of her words was evident. Fiona listened attentively, piecing together these hints, her resolve to help Mia growing stronger. In a moment of profound vulnerability, Mia hesitantly confessed. Her voice trembled as she admitted to taking items from the daycare. The admission came as a quiet, yet courageous acknowledgement of her actions. Fiona listened intently, recognizing the immense courage it took for Mia to unveil this truth. It was a significant step in breaking down the walls Mia had built around her struggles. Mia's eyes filled with tears as she explained her actions. She spoke of her younger sibling and the family's financial hardships. Her words revealed a deep sense of responsibility, far beyond what should be expected of someone her age. She had taken on a role that was necessitated by circumstance, driven by a desire to ease her family's burden, a gesture of love and sacrifice. With a mix of fear and relief, Mia shared her fear of her parents discovering what she had done. She expressed worry about their reaction, not wanting to add to their stress. This fear had led her to discreetly dispose of the items, a decision made under the weight of a heavy, unshared burden. Fiona's heart ached as she realized the extent of Mia's inner turmoil. Fiona responded with deep understanding and empathy. She acknowledged the complexity of Mia's situation, assuring her that her feelings were valid. Fiona expressed that while the actions were not ideal, they came from a place of love and necessity. This understanding created a bond of trust between them, as Fiona showed that she was there to support, not to judge. As the conversation drew to a close, Fiona began to formulate a plan of support for Mia and her family. She considered various avenues, from school resources to community assistance. Fiona knew that the solution needed to be sensitive, respectful, and empowering. It was crucial to offer help in a way that maintained the family's dignity while addressing their immediate needs. Fiona arranged a confidential meeting with Mia and her parents. She believed it was essential for them to understand the situation from Mia's perspective. Fiona prepared herself to mediate this delicate conversation, ensuring that it would be a safe space for open dialogue. Her aim was to facilitate understanding and support, rather than cast blame or judgment on anyone involved. As Mia and her parents gathered in Fiona's classroom, the air was tense with anticipation. Fiona started the meeting delicately, acknowledging the sensitivity of the topic. She explained her observations and concerns in a measured tone, careful not to overwhelm Mia or her parents. The goal was to set a foundation of trust and openness from the outset of this crucial conversation. Fiona gently unveiled the truth about Mia's actions. She emphasized Mia's intentions, highlighting the love and responsibility she felt towards her family. It was important to Fiona that Mia's parents understood the context of her actions, not just the actions themselves. Fiona's approach was compassionate, ensuring Mia's efforts were seen as a testament to her character, rather than a wrongdoing. Upon learning the truth, Mia's parents were swept by a wave of emotions. Shock was the first to surface, quickly followed by a sense of guilt for not having realized Mia's struggles. Gratitude also emerged as they recognized the extent of their daughter's efforts to support the family. These emotions intermingled, creating a moment of profound realization for the entire family. The emotional weight of Mia's sacrifices moved her parents to tears. They were overcome with a mixture of sorrow and pride, realizing the depth of her love and the extent of her silent struggles. This moment marked a turning point, as the tears symbolized both a release of pent-up emotions and a newfound understanding of Mia's experiences. Acknowledging Mia's struggle, Mia's parents, now more composed, expressed deep remorse for not having noticed her challenges earlier. They acknowledged the difficulties Mia must have faced, dealing with such responsibilities at a young age. It was a moment of reflection for them, as they recognized the signs they had missed and the importance of being more attuned to their daughter's needs. Mia's parents turned to Fiona and Mia, offering heartfelt apologies for the unintended burden placed on the school. They expressed their gratitude for Fiona's intervention, recognizing the care and concern she had shown for their daughter. Their words were sincere, conveying a deep appreciation for the support and understanding they had received during this difficult time. The revelation served as a catalyst for improved communication within the family. Mia's parents, now aware of her struggles, committed to fostering a more open and supportive home environment. This meeting marked a new beginning in their family dynamics, one where honesty and understanding would be at the forefront of their interactions. Fiona took the initiative to mobilize the school and local community to offer discreet support to Mia's family. She coordinated efforts to provide them with resources that could ease their financial burdens. This involvement was handled with respect for the family's privacy, ensuring that the support was both effective and sensitive to their needs. The family's situation began to improve with the support they received. Financial counseling, donations of essential items, and emotional support from the community paved the way for a brighter future. This new beginning was marked by a sense of hope and gratitude, as Mia's family experienced the power of a community coming together to uplift one of its own. Did you like this touching and surprising story? If so, we invite you to leave us a comment expressing your opinion. If you want to continue enjoying inspiring stories like this one, subscribe to our channel or check out the other videos shown at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for your cooperation.